Welcome to the Gifts from the Edge podcast, where you are about to meet parents and professionals, educators and entrepreneurs who have taken the path less traveled, and by doing that, have made all the difference. Now it's time to step out of the ordinary. Here's your host, Andrew Lord.
Hello and welcome back to The Edge, that place where you can meet the mentors, where you can travel across space and time and learn from others who have been to the places in life where you want to go. And today it's my real pleasure to introduce you to someone who I've known only for a short time, but I was moved by his story when I heard it. I thought it was amazing. And of course, as you know, when that happens, I want to bring it here and share it with my friends. So I've invited him here today, Zeph Sayuli from New Zealand. He's a physical conditioning and strength coach. He's a fitness guru, which we're going to talk a bit more about a little later. But if you follow him on socials, you'll soon learn that he's not all about being the buffest, roughest, toughest guy out there. His heart is to redefine manly strength, and his heart is to show up as a father, as a husband, and as a man of God, and show his family and everyone else who might want to gather around him what living life to the full really looks like, which is what we are all about here, of course. And so whether you are, a man who is looking to do something different, take your life to the next level, or you're a wife or a partner who thinks that your partner would benefit from this, you're going to really love this episode. We're going to talk today about how that passion was born, how you can get some more of that in your life. But for now, Zeph, welcome. It's so good to have you here.
Hey, thanks so much, man. So good to be here. Dude, you make me sound better than I do myself, man. Wow. Thanks so much, Andrew. Pleasure to be here. Hey, hello, everybody. Talofa lava. Thanks for having me on board. Yeah, good to be here. Good to be here.
Thanks, Zeph. Cool. All right. So just to give people a little bit of context, let's just tell people where you're from. I've said New Zealand, but, if you could sort of hone in a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm actually from the Pacific. So I was born and raised in Samoa. And so much of my growing up was done in Samoa. We moved to New Zealand when about 2004, and so my parents had jobs here in New Zealand. They got posted from Samoa to New Zealand to come and work, and so that's when my life then started here in New Zealand. So I've been in the country. I've been in New Zealand now for like well over probably almost 30 years now. Wow. I think if not 30 years, and this has been home for me ever since. And so people get confused about where I'm actually from, because I look like a mixture of cultures. I'm actually Samoan Tongan, but then if you've ever been to New Zealand, there's kind of different accents from around New Zealand. So I'm actually from the South Island, in Dunedin, which is like, it's got a bit of a Scottish heritage. It's just got a bit of a southerner type vibe to New Zealand. But right now, I'm actually based in Taupo, which is, if you've ever seen New Zealand, there is one big lake in the middle of the North Island. That's where I live right now. So in Lake Taupo.
Cool.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. You wouldn't know who to back in the Pacific Championships. Did you watch the footy recently?
Oh man, it's always a bit of a tussle here in my heart, man. Who to go for, man? Because like, especially when it's Samoa against Tonga, that's a massive thing, especially in our house, man. Who on my dad's side for sure, but yeah, it's good times and it's good vibes.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so we met in a program. It's hosted by an organization called Raising Royalty, and you're actually one of the facilitators of that program. And so, as an experienced coach, I thought, there's so many aspects of this program that are amazing, but there was also a whole bunch of different things that I'd never done before. The dreaming phase was a powerful phase. So just for the people listening, why don't you give them just a bit of a run through of that program? And we're going to put some links for people to check that out if they want to, be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. So Master the Code for us from Raising Royalty. So Master the Code is the foundational discipleship material that we have, or discipleship program that we take people through. So our heart here with Raising Royalty is really to your dream is a solution from heaven for a world in crisis. And so how do we empower you to step into the reality of that dream? That is how you disciple nations. And so that's a bigger conversation, but regarding Master the Code, that is the process that we take people through to begin to learn how to actually one, discover the dreams that God's put on their hearts. So for the majority of my life in the Christian church, I grew up in the understanding that that God gives me that I've got to figure out from God, what is my one thing, what is my one calling, what is my one purpose, and then I do that for the rest of my life. But in this journey, we're talking into sonship now, which is part of what Raising Royalty does. When you discover who you are as a child of God, as a son, there's actually a process where you learn to actually dream for yourself with God, where you have these dreams that God has birthed inside of your heart. And so Master the Code is actually designed for you to actually go on this journey of discovering what other dreams God's been birthing inside you, God's beginning to stir inside of you. So, like for most of us, if I ask someone, like, what do you want for your life? We'll say, oh, I don't know. And so it's just a simple way to just take people through, like, what do you want? Write it down. And for most people, we think that we're selfish beings, which we're actually not. But the process is actually really simple. It's really to allow your heart to begin to speak. And so we the whole purpose is to turn off self-sabotage, right? So every person faces sabotage in different areas. And so for us, self-sabotage for us here at Raising Royalty is a lack of vision, a lack of focus, a lack of discipline, a lack of execution and consistency. And so vision, for at least for starters, is the lack of dreaming, the lack of desire within your heart, or even the lack of the awareness of what those desires actually are, the lack of awareness of what those dreams actually are. Yeah. So, most people have dreams that are still like at surface level, and you've never actually realized it because we're so busy with daily life, but we're also like maybe even afraid to actually realize that we actually have personal dreams and personal desires for ourselves. And so that is the goal, and that is in simple terms, that's what Master the Code is actually designed to do, is to help you turn off self-sabotage in all those areas and step into self-mastery or become unstoppable, and for you to step into all that God's calling you into. And so it's something that I've become very passionate about, as you can tell, as a coach, not just not only in the program, but also as a strength conditioning coach, because it's transformed my life, and so it's part of who I am. It's developing people to step into all that God's calling them into. And so, you had this conversation before, like I'm passionate about helping people step into dominion in every area of their life, where they're ruling and reigning in every area of their life. And so for me, it started with fitness. It started with losing weight. It started with that health journey. And that gave me the boost of confidence to say, man, God's actually calling me into other territories as well. I remember when I was, a few years ago, God spoke to me from the book of Joshua, 1:3, and he said these words. He said, "Every place you set your foot, son, you are on land I have given you." So it's like God was giving me territory. So when I began the journey of actually taking back dominion of my health, I gained back that territory of my life. And so when that happened, then I realized, wow, God's actually got other territory for me as well. So because that dream of being healthy, of living a life where I'm fit, healthy, strong enough for my future family. At the time, I wasn't married yet. When that dream became realized, I then realized, man, I've actually got other dreams that are actually bubbling on the surface. And so, but that all became part of me mastering the code as well. So that's a long-winded answer. I hope this answers your question. But,
no, that's great. And what you've done also is reference some of the start of your fitness journey. So why don't we kind of go there? Yeah, sure. That was the moment, listening to you during mastering the code, that I thought, I need to get up this guy on the podcast. And and have a chat with him, because this is called Gifts from the Edge. And we all have one of those edge moments where life could go one way or it could go the other. And so for the people listening, can you just sort of unpack what that was for you? You know, that moment where you made I don't know, was it a conscious decision, or was it just, you know, one day at a time? Like, how did it unfold for you?
Yeah, I remember clearly the day I sat in the doctor's office. I was probably, I was overweight. I was well over probably like 135, 140 kilos at the time, and I was sitting in the doctor's office. And I went to the doctors just to get like a blood check, because at the time I had a cold or a flu, and I couldn't shake it for over a month, which is pretty weird. So I went to see the doctor, and I had blood tests done earlier that day, came back to see the doctor, and the doctor sat me down and said, "Son, if not today, tomorrow you will join the long line of your family who are diabetic, have heart disease and arthritis." And in that moment, I made a decision. I'm not next.
Yeah.
In that moment, I made a decision. I'm not next. And so, I mean, admittedly, like, I had a bit of a cry in that moment, because it was pretty scary, right? Like, when you've grown up, you've seen your entire family, and like, it's known. It's one of the curses I want to break off, but like, it's known that in the Polynesian community we are predisposed to diabetes.
Yeah.
Right. And so, so hearing that I'll be joining the long line of my family who are diabetic, that's a curse.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, if that's something I don't want to hear. And so in that moment, I made a decision. I'm not joining that cycle. I'm breaking that cycle right there. So had a bit of a cry that day, walked out of the doctor's office. Now I live at the top of the hill, at top of the mountain. So I jumped on the bus, went home. I was still a bit young and depressed at this time. Went home.
How old were you at this point?
I was probably like 20, 22.
Yeah, so young. Yeah.
22. And so jumped on the bus, went home, and this was my act of defiance in this moment, right? I jumped off the bus and I climbed the mountain to go home. I climbed the mountain. I walked. It took me like a whole hour to walk from the bottom of the hill home, man. I was like heavy. My legs were sore. I was tired. My back was like, I was sweating all over the place. But I was adamant, I will not let this define me right here. And so, and
so it didn't take long for you to respond, you know, within hours really of getting that declaration, that bad news from the doctor. You know, you were processing that, and within hours you were taking steps to say, no way, not me.
Exactly. I think my spirit like woke up. It's almost like the lion in my spirit woke up and roared in that moment and said, I'm not next. But the journey for me was actually for my soul to come into alignment with that moment. And so so I was probably still in a bit of a spiritual high at the moment of like, nah, this is not going to be me. I'm breaking the cycle of my life. You're not going to define me. You don't get to tell me, you know, how my life's going to go down in the next few years. But and this is where like my soul then took over when I got off the bus and climbed that hill to go home. It sucked, man. Like my soul was crying, you know. But like, I refuse to be defeated in that moment. So that whole hour of walking, it's not even that big of a mountain, man. Like you can, it literally takes you like, now I can run the mountain in probably like 30 minutes or something, but it took me ages to get up there. But when I got home, I was like, man, I've got a journey ahead of me. And so when I got home, my first meal that day, now I've got a really bad diet at the time, but my first meal that day was like a plate of rice, some meat patties, which was probably a bit of fat on it as well, because I don't know any difference. I had a bit of fat on it and some veggies. That was my memory of that day. I was like, no doctor, stuff you. I didn't listen to you. I'm walking the mountain now. I'm gonna change my diet, and that was all I remember from that day. And then the rest was a big journey from then on. And so, so yeah, that answers your question.
Yeah, and so how did it play out from there? Like, you obviously didn't go from okay, I'm now putting a plate of rice and meat patties and veggies together to becoming a strength and condition coach that helps other people. Like, what were the stepping stones for you? What happened next?
Well, I think the next day it's like it was one step in front of one step after the next, right? And so it just started with like just changing routine. So at the time I was pretty inactive. I was 140 kilos at the time. No exercise other than playing rugby in high school. That was about it. And so and this has been like it's been a few years since that point. And so the next day the next step was literally just go for a walk, and all there was. And then went back to the doctors for another checkup, and then they gave me some like just some stuff around nutrition, all sort of stuff. But I was hungry. Like, how do I change my life in this area? And so just looked up online nutrition, proper nutrition. But because I started the journey of it started from walking, and I couldn't even run. 140 kilos is heavy, man. Like, my joints were sore.
Yeah.
So I started just like it just went for a walk around the block.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, I took up a paper delivering job, just like walked the neighborhood, just delivering a newspaper. Yeah. And I did that specifically just so I can get some exercise.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so smart move.
Yeah, exactly. And if you know Dunedin, and if you know anything about Dunedin, anyone listening knows anything about Dunedin in the South Island, it's very hilly.
Yeah, so, okay.
Then come the hills, right? And so, at Raising Royalty, we have a thing about embracing the suck, like doing the hard work, right? It's like, so you give yourself a daily diet of hard things to do. For me, that was it. Yeah, I was climbing the hills, delivering paper, and so that went from walking the hills, delivering paper, to then learning how to run from then on. And by that time, like the weight was starting to come off, and so people around me started noticing. The next big thing was like overcoming my fear of the gym. And so overcoming my fear of the gym, because I was heavy, man. I was insecure and I was fat. And so like I was always self-conscious of the way I looked. In fact, there's probably one of the things that added to my depression at the time was like I never liked me. I never actually loved me at the time. And so walking into the gym was really hard for me. And so once I gained the confidence to at least set foot in the gym and pay for a gym membership, that was another stake in the ground and say, no, I'm actually sticking to this, to this journey. And so from walking to running, I hated running, but it was part of that hard things that I will embrace doing. Yeah. And then it's then stepping into the gym and then going from there. So learning how to exercise. I had a personal trainer at the time. I was actually assigned a personal trainer at the time because the gym I was actually training at was actually a student gym as part of the university. And the volunteers that work in the gym are actually student personal trainers. Okay. And I was assigned one of those to help me become inducted into the gym. Yeah. And then show me the rope sort of thing, and then show me how to move right, all the stuff. Anyway,
was that the first help that you'd got?
That was the very first help in terms of learning how to exercise that I ever got.
Yeah, wow. So you'd done a lot on your own, before even getting to that point. Yeah. Yeah.
Most of a lot of the work I done on my own was literally just walking and just jogging, really. Like I'll jog one lamppost and then walk the next, and then jog the next lamppost and walk whatever it is. It's just like, I mean, you've heard in the Master of the Code program about what do you call it? It's 1 degree shifts.
Yes.
That was my 1 degree shifts. Yes. Was just walk, tomorrow I'll run, tomorrow I'll jog the lamppost from then on. And so so that was my very first help in terms of official training to go in the gym was that day. And so that started the process and then on the journey of learning from a professional trainer, personal trainer.
Did you ever think that you would, when you had that encounter, that you'd be doing that one day? Did you ever have that inkling, or you had
No,
clue?
not at all. Not at
Okay.
all. I mean, mind you, I actually hated exercise. Like I was actually overweight, so I hated exercise, hated running.
Yeah.
It was all because I was still living under the oppression of being heavy, of being overweight and obese. Right, I had oppression sitting over my life, and so
Yeah.
At the time, I remembered that as a child, I've always wanted to become a police officer.
Yeah.
And one of the requirements of joining the police was that you need to be physically fit.
Yeah.
You need to at least run 2Ks at least and not die. and so that was actually part of the motivation behind me going for a walk and a run at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So to run the hills, to jog the hills, that was actually part of the motivation. Was in the back of my head, I could see myself passing the police fitness test. Anyway, fast forward into me being coached by a personal trainer. And the fact that I had someone there coaching me, walking alongside me, going on this journey with me, and just like I'm seeing my ups and downs, and just helping me make little 1 degree shifts every time I showed up. Step by step, the goal was actually to become a police officer, but I fell in love with the journey of seeing my body transform, seeing my life change over a process of time. Yeah. And I had this guy who was there who was just journeying with me the whole time. And so I think that was the day where I realized that, man, I actually really love this. I actually really love the journey of actually being alongside someone and just like coaching them over the line.
Yeah.
I'm just like, cool. And just I'm just not so much like pulling them over, but just being on the other side, calling them over here, and so learned a lot in that season, learned a lot about me, learned a lot about the way I see myself. And so I actually put the police job at rest. I thank you, COVID, for confirming that for me. That was not definitely not what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, but in terms of like coaching and just consulting and helping people win in every area of their life, that's definitely me.
Yeah, that's cool. So cool. You mentioned there, the way you saw yourself, and you've mentioned encountering real depression, real down moments. So alongside this physical journey, I'm just guessing, there's got to be an inner journey that goes along with that. The wanting to be a police officer was the catalyst for that. But can you give us like a little bit of insight into some of the inner healing that took place, and was Master the Code a part of that, or that sort of happened with other mentors? Like, just how did all of that take place?
I think Master the Code was like the culmination of everything. Like Master the Code, if you ever had to write the book of my life, it was Master the Code. But everything prior to that was actually me like discovering what the book was actually, what the book actually was. And so the book became Master the Code. And so, by the way, I didn't write Master the Code book. That's not me. I'm actually just like a facilitator, just to be clear. Okay. So, the journey for me, I think, the healing for me internally actually started from an external process of actually just like, just learning to just get my health right, and that makes sense. And so, but in terms of like me accepting me for who I am and loving who I was, started much later, much later on. And so it was actually when I walked into raising royalty. Really, that's when the big part of the healing happened, is when like I finally discovered that who I truly am was one as a son and as a king as well. And so, but that I didn't realize that at the time. And so God was actually doing the work inside of me all those years. And then I've only just realized it then, like in the last 5 years when I encountered raising royalty. And so, in terms of mentors, obviously was Benji Alexander, who was the founder and the creator of Raising Royalty, going through the healing of sonship, going through discovering Master the Code and all that. And as well, like there were other father figures for me at the time. So like just to backtrack for the sake of our listeners, my parents actually split up when we moved to Dunedin, and I would say that was actually the big part of my depression was that there was a door was open into my heart, into my soul, was like that rejection.
So you're like a
and
teenager at this point.
yeah, I was 17 at this point.
Yeah.
And so I remember thinking to myself, I remember the exact thoughts. Wow, I'm a statistic now. I remember that exact thought. I was like, wow, I'm a statistic now. Because I was looking around with all the families around me, and even the Pacific Island families, like just broken families.
Yeah.
And I remember at that point thinking to myself the exact words, wow, I'm a stat now.
Yeah.
And so that part of that depression was actually was not having a father, and not having someone to champion me and mentor me into becoming a man. And so our pastors at the time when I was in Dunedin, he was just an amazing man of God, just a rule. Look at him now; he looks like Santa Claus. And so he was one of the fathers in my life who I would meet with on a weekly basis. He'll take me out for coffee, and he'll just pour into my life and just ask me, how's it going? Where are you at with life since Dad walked away? And he was one of the ones that helped me realize the catalyst dream of becoming a cop at the time. And so he was one of the ones that helped me step through the fear of joining the gym. He actually took me to the gym.
Yeah, wow.
And so championed me there. And so yeah. So in terms of mentors, like those are one of the figures in my life was a guy called Jeff Morgan. He was my pastor at the time, and then from then on was my uncle, who basically was like the backbone of our family when my dad left my mom. And so he was another man who's actually a father figure to me as well. So it was all these father figures along the way that became mentors to me, because they became like father figures to me along the way. And so that's why for me, at this stage of my life, like fathering is a massive part of my heart. Like it's a big thing for me. Like, men, if you're listening to me today, hear this from a son. For you to want to walk out of your marriage, is you're not just walking out of your marriage, you're actually walking out of actually stealing from your children. And something I've become very passionate about in the season now, because I'm seeing it in the guys around me. Not actually realizing that you're not just stealing, you're not just taking from a marriage that once was, you're actually taking from the lives of your children, and actually sows a seed of chaos into their lives. And so that's, that for me was all part of the man who I am today, like becoming a coach, becoming a husband, a father, not just a husband and father, but just a one who just stay the course and in the course of time. I remember on my wedding day, I was panicking. I was panicking because, like, God, I do not want to be like the marriage that I saw in my parents. And I remember God spoke to me, and He gave me Deuteronomy, I think it's Deuteronomy 30:33, where it says, I call heaven and earth today to witness the choice you make between life and death, blessing and curses, and He said, son, you get to choose the kind of man you want to be. It's not by default. You get to choose. And in that moment, I realized that, wow, in my journey with God, I get a choice.
Yeah.
I get a choice. God doesn't dictate my life. I mean, I know the Bible says that He orders your steps, but you get a choice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, like it says in Proverbs, like a man may have dreams for his heart, but it's the Lord who dictates the steps, the Lord who orders the steps. And so those were the moments for me that were catalytic moments for now, for where we are now. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Cool. It's amazing to me how out of, a season of heartbreak, how God is so good that he can redeem that. And not only has he redeemed it, he has flipped that, he has turned that experience that you have had into fuel, like rocket fuel for you to mentor other men and to, like, you're a dad now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I've got two. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old little girl. And so
yeah, okay, handful.
Yeah, man, totally handful, man. My son, like, he's 3, and we call him Sonic 10X. Like, man, they're a Sonic and then it's 10X. You put those two together, yep, that's my boy Tate, man. But
wow.
I absolutely love him to bits. Absolutely love the bits.
Yeah, that's cool. So, can you tell us some of your big dreams, if you're willing to go there? Like, we've been through this process of if you do master the code, if you decide to go on that journey, if you're listening, one of the processes is coming up with 100 dreams, and it's not an easy thing to do. Like, it's a big list, and mine's still incomplete. And I know that I'm going to spend some time working on that. But just a couple for you, like, when you think about your future now, after all of this way that you've come, what's still on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so again, this goes back to being a dad and being a father. And so, like, you can spin this in different ways, right? And so for me, I wanted to be a dad. I wanted to be a father who was actually present in the lives of my children.
Mm-hmm.
And so the big dream for me was actually to be present in the lives of my children, watching their development, watching them grow. Even though they're so young, but man, they're so young, like, not for very long, like all of a sudden I woke up and my boy's 3 years old, and now I'm walking him to school. And so, part of that dream of being present was for us to change how we do life. And it was like, I used to work a full-time job somewhere else. And so part of me coming back and working in the gym, training clients, was actually just to have a bit more freedom of my own time. It was actually for me to actually have control of my time. So the big dreams for us was us, like, just changing the state of our finances. Yeah, it was like, we don't have bad finances. It was just changing how we create wealth. That for me is a big part for me as a dad, as a father, was how I create wealth. And so I've come from a season where I'm earning an hourly income, now stepping into a season of entrepreneurship, learning how of entrepreneurship, of learning how to create wealth. So, and this is just me speaking for me, like, when I realize I'm a dad, like, I'm a father now, I can't just sell my time away to someone else to build somebody else's profits. Like, my time is not mine, it's actually my boys. Like, when you realize that, like, when you give your time to something else that's not your children, you're not actually just taking your time, you're actually taking from them.
Yeah, wow.
And so that's the biggest thing I realized, was like, man, God, help me. How do I figure this out? And this is why I'm very passionate about, like, men stepping into dominion, stepping into their authority, right? To rule and reign in every area. Part of ruling and reigning for me was, like, for me, actually, myself creating wealth for our family, so that I'm around. And so that, for me, learning financial literacy, learning to trade the financial markets, which is what I get to do now through raising royalty, learning how to automate streams of income. That for me. So the big dream for me wasn't creating lump sums of money, was actually to create freedom, so that I can be a dad, so that I can be a husband, and so. And so that I also have that flexibility and availability to then impart into the lives of others. But that for me is the big dream, man, was just like walk my son to kindy in the morning if I'm not on a call like this, or if I'm on the chart, and then bring him home, get to hang out with him in the afternoon. Like, my daily routine is I put him to bed. I put him to bed. I read him a story. I put him to bed. He's down, then my wife puts our little girl to sleep, and then I get to hang out with my wife at the end of the day, when all that's done. And so, man, that's the big dream, man, was to be a husband and a father who is present.
Yeah.
who's ruling and reigning in every area of my life, and who's winning in every area, not just one.
Yeah, no, that's profound, and yeah, simple but profound. And I think there's a few things that you've said there that are really challenging for me. I'm hearing it, and I know I've got to, address some of those areas. And I think for people listening too, if you're listening to some of the things Zeph is saying and you want to change those, it just starts with a small step, as he's talked about. Just taking small steps. Moving the needle just a little bit every day. Zeph, you help men. You've talked about family, you've talked about finance, you've talked about fitness, you've talked about lots of different areas. How can people find you? People want to have people in their corner. We're shaped by the people that we surround ourselves with, and I think that includes physically, but also on social media as well. Like, how can people connect with you and reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on social media. You can find me on Facebook as Defiance. Just my name, Defiance Seiuli, or even on Instagram, which is just Defiance, really. And yeah, even on TikTok, all those different platforms. That's where you'll find me right there.
Yeah, cool. It's been so great to spend a bit of time with you. As you said, it's your time is not just your own, it's also your family's. So big thank you to your family as well for sharing you with us today. And yeah, I look forward to sharing this with my community.
No worries, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that I get to be a part of this as well. Andrew, absolutely love your work. And so let me just say this for all our listeners: there is more out there for you guys. Like you were created to rule and reign in every area of your life. And so if you ever need someone in your corner, give me a yell on Facebook or on Instagram. I'd love to be there for you as well.
And there you have it, Zephaniah Seiuli. He's the facilitator, or one of the facilitators of the Master the Code Challenge and mentor to men, sharing with us his story and the impact of a father leaving during his teen years, and how that has shaped him, not just mentally, but also physically as well. We didn't discuss it there on the podcast, but he's spoken to me about this before. He used to eat for comfort and put on weight, and then started walking down that road of his ancestors, until one day the doctor called it out, and that lit a fire under him, and he said, "No way, I'm not next." And little by little, step by step, his life embodied the Master the Code process, just moving the needle day by day, until he found himself in a place where he's not just improved his fitness, but now he's on the path to improving finances. He's showing up for his family. He has a future. He has dreams that he is passionate about, and now wants to give back, wants to be a mentor in your corner. And so actually had a chat with Zeph after the call, and Benji and Zeph and the whole team there are happy to share the Master the Code resource. It's $39 if you want to get access to the dashboard, which is absolutely nothing. What I'm going to do early in January is I'm going to take a group through the Master the Code Challenge. It's a 7-week program. If you'd like to be a part of that program, if you're listening now, you'd like to be a part of that program with me, I'm going to guide you through. Just below on the blog where you're listening to this, there'll be a link where you can book a call with me. I'd love to have a chat with you first. Just find out, what's your struggles, what's your goals, what's your dreams, and let's go on this journey together. A 7-week program called Master the Code. I've been doing personal development coaching for over 10 years now, and I have really got a lot out of this process. So I'm keen to take another maybe 10 to 15 other people along with me. If that's you, if you're listening to this, reach out, book a call with me. Let's have a chat, and early next year, 2025, I'd love to take you on that journey. All right, that's all from me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this chat with Zeph as much as I have. Bye for now.